Hey man, how's it going?
Oh, not too bad. Pretty tiring. First new week of work, and it's up
Mhm.
super early, and then I'm home super early, but then I also have to go to bed super early. So it's like,
Your whole day is shifted earlier, right? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I
It's
get up
fun that
about
way.
an hour and 20 minutes earlier instead of so like I know like 5:50 might not sound too early to some people, but like I haven't had to be up that early consistently since like I think high school.
Right. Well, that's good. Yeah. No, it's one of those things you get when you start working in a different, like, legitimate job that has you set hours, right? But yeah, welcome back everybody to Bite My Shiny Metal Cast, episode 13 of season 5, Bend Her. Yeah, please like and subscribe and comment if you like talking all things Futurama. We love hearing from you. Yeah,
It
let's
helps with the algorithm.
It does. And let's talk a little bit about the episode. So yeah, Bend Her. Um Opening caption, too hot for radio. Too hot for radio. We open
Yep.
on Madison Cube Garden during the 3004 Olympics that are being set on Earth. I guess their Olympics in the future are still done primarily just with Earth countries or Earth things. I'm still a little confused. I guess the planetary, like the dupe or whatever, right? The Democratic Order of Planets is specifically like, Earth is its own thing, and then like Mars and all those other planets or whatever, they're all part of the country or all part of the system. But like Earth still has countries, so they're still divided, I guess, and they still,
Well,
are.
if we really want to get down to it and stuff like that, right? When
I
you
do.
look at Canada, for instance, we have provinces slash territories
Sure.
slash maritimes. Is that its own thing, or that's just like
Those
a
are
slang?
No, those are provinces. Yeah.
Okay, those
So
are
we
provinces.
have
I
10
thought so, but
provinces and
every time
3
I say that,
territories. Yeah.
especially from someone from like, no, it's the maritimes. Like, yeah, okay, whatever. So and then okay, so now
Okay.
let's look at a province. There's
Mhm.
counties. And then counties can have towns, cities, villages, and stuff like
Sure,
that.
sure,
And then
sure.
those villages could have
So you're saying that Earth as a planet is also still separated into its countries and everything. The reason I ask this is like the Olympics then are still very much an Earth thing. There's nothing to do with the rest of the planets, I'm guessing, right?
Oh
It's
yeah,
still very much
I would probably say it's just like that Mrs. Universe, right? Is all the known planets and the most
right,
beautiful
right.
woman of their planet. They probably have to be the most beautiful person on their planet in order to get there, right?
Sure.
Like Miss Alabama could win Miss Universe, or sorry, Miss Earth, or whatever you want to call it, or
Whatever it
Miss
was, yeah.
Milky Way, or Solar
Right.
System, whatever you want to go, and all the way out to the universe, right?
Mhm.
So
But we have the crew, right, watching and observing our Olympics of 3004, and they're going there to cheer on Hermes, I guess, who has been brought out of retirement, and we get to see kind of what was going on. We had mention of this. Do you remember what episode is it? Where is it? How Hermes requisitioned his groove back?
no,
No,
no, no.
no. What
It,
what
it was
episode is it? Where
the Titanic one, the Titanic one,
right, right, right.
because
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah, they had like a limbo party, and
And
the
he
Barbara, who
refused to.
we see
Right.
in this episode, it's like, come on, husband, you
Yeah.
can totally beat all these people. No, not now,
Not since
wife.
that
Not
day, right?
not since that day. And look at me, guys. I'm just like Hermes. I'm just like
Right.
Hermes. No,
Your
kid,
backbone can't take it. Right.
your backbone
Yeah.
can't take it. I'm just like, ah,
Right.
no.
That's right. That's right. That episode.
Yeah,
So that was
when I
way
was
back in season 2. So we actually get to see Hermes, like, kind of being in that, not his prime, obviously, but we get to kind of see him doing his
it
limbo,
was, it was
his
20
limbo
years
thing again.
prior. Yeah.
Yes. But we do get, yeah, the whole thing for it. So, any case, our crew is watching the Olympics. They're there to cheer on Hermes, and they get to go check on Hermes as he's getting prepared. And yes, Hermes has aged 20 years. He's grown a bit, fatter and all these things. And it turns out that the Jamaican team got detained at the airport. So, for whatever reason, they called him in. I guess he was never a champion, but he was the former competitor, right, with the Limbo team of Jamaica. So, they called him out of retirement to come do this. So, due to his size, right, Hermes is given
Hermes.
a suit designed by the professor, basically to kind of re-angle his fat, redistribute his fat lower to his body, so it gives him a better center of gravity, apparently.
Oh, those haven't descended in years.
And it gives him a better working version of the limboer, right? I do like LeBron's line, like, "Yeah, that's my Jamaican bacon," or something like that. I thought that was a pretty good line. So I
You
love their
just forgot
little
the word
rhyming
fine in
situation.
front of Jamaican.
my fine Jamaican bacon. But I think it's her accent and the rhyming scheme. I think it's actually pretty good. But in any case,
I gotta say, is that like a Jamaican stereotype or something that they rhyme a lot? Because they all do it. Like all three of them do it, right?
yeah, I think that is kind of like the idea of it, right? It's Rastafari and like everything is rhyming and singing and all this kind of thing. That's kind of the idea.
Yeah.
So, in any case, the only two of the crew members that were there that didn't go and see Hermes and see how he was doing were Bender and Zoidberg, who are kind of watching the robot Olympics. So I guess the robots are kind of added into this as well for
What a
one
weird
reason or
thing
another.
though to have like a robot in Olympics. It's
Well, so
the only thing that I would say that's interesting to watch is the battle bot stuff, which is like we have that in real life here.
but
We
they
can't
have
in the world, but
in
yeah.
the Olympics, in the 3004 Olympics, apparently they have like all the countries that are like versions of themselves from the past, like the French stereotypes, because France doesn't really exist anymore. At least French doesn't exist anymore. And they
Oh
have
yeah,
robots
that's
and all these
funny.
things separate, and they all have them separated by sex, right? Because they have the man robots and the female robots, all this kind of stuff. So we see all these things, right?
As sports should be, yeah.
As the sports are. So we have Bender watching this and realizing, like, oh, the one thing that I was built for, bending, I bet I could beat these athletes, and they
I
turn out to
I
be
do love
some
that
of the
line.
greatest
Yeah,
athletes.
so
Yeah.
I love that line because I think I've said it to myself too at one point, like when I was like younger,
Well,
because like
my dreams
no,
died before
no.
they
Just
even
so
began.
when I'm 18, it's just like something tells me I could easily beat these trained professionals because like I did basketball and I was pretty good, maybe not Olympic, maybe Olympic Canada good, but not the rest of the world at the time. I'll say,
Sure.
and yeah, I'm pretty sure I could have beat that guy. I'm pretty sure I've said that about some kind of Olympic event at some point. None of like the really fast ones like Usain Bolt stuff like that. No, but I can't remember particularly which ones. But like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I could have beat that guy in that.
Sure.
Obviously not because he's trained 20 years of his life
Years.
since
Yeah.
birth to do that. And that's normally what happens nowadays.
Yeah.
I would say pretty much anyone born after the year 2000 has been like, oh, you want to be a piano player? How old are you? 6 months?
Start.
Oh, it's a little late
Yeah.
for
Late.
you. If
Yeah.
you were
Start.
3 months,
Start
yeah,
now. Yeah.
yeah.
Start 10 years
It,
ago. Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy how actually that is true and it's terrifying. But
Yeah.
yeah,
There's
like,
a lot of
what do
pressure on
you
these guys now. So yeah.
yeah, what do you think about the Olympics in general? Like, do you like them or not like them?
You know what? I love the idea of them. Like I love the idea of like people competing because they do put a lot of effort in their life,
Yep.
into these sports and into these things. Personally though, like I've never been much of like a watching sports fan, so I can't really sit down and
Nah,
just
you
like
never have been.
enjoy it.
Nah,
It's not really my
that's
thing.
not really a thing. No.
It's not my thing. I enjoy the idea, like yay, go Canada or go whatever country you're rooting for it. Like you can kind of feel
Yeah,
that
like
pride.
like heritage or something like that. Like, yeah, I
Yeah,
love Canada. I'm from Canada, but like
yeah. But
especially with the winter stuff, I'm part Norwegian. I have never been, nor do I know anyone who actually speaks or is from there. But that's my heritage. I'm like, yeah, go Norway after Canada. But yeah, oh,
right,
yeah,
and I'm just
third
like
place, good for that guy.
in the Summer Olympics, you have people telling me like, "Oh, aren't you going to cheer for Canada?" I'm like, "Bruh, not Canada's not going anywhere."
Yeah, we have like two good athletes out of the 30 that are
So like,
there.
yeah,
They're not
winter
going to place.
dominates. Winter dominates, but summer, I'm
Yeah,
just like, meh, whatever.
yeah.
But yeah, no,
And
I've always
I
been like
think
that.
curling. I don't think we haven't got a medal at all in
And who
curling once.
cares? It's curling.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
So,
there's also that. Yeah,
yeah,
just another fun little rant there is that 10 years ago, the perfect athlete's body was a beer gut, and you played curling. Nowadays, they're all like super fit. It's like what happened? No, these aren't the athlete bodies I grew up watching curling for. No, where's the bald pot belly man? Oh, he's
right.
the coach now. Oh, okay, that's close enough. So it's
Sure,
just
sure. They had to
yeah,
have what was that called?
peak physique.
A peak physique. Yeah, something like that. So in any case, on the track, right? This is a little bit afterwards. Hermes sees, and this is the first time, right? We're introduced to Barbados Slim.
Yes, this is debut.
This is debut for Barbados Slim.
Wow, that's
And
actually very
it's a
late, isn't
long
it?
time. I know. That's what I was saying. I was like, no way. Is this the first time? And I'm pretty sure it was like, oh yeah, because we've never
Yeah,
really
yeah.
talked about him. So yeah, this
According to his page, this is literally the first episode
first
we see
episode. So
him,
Barbados
and then we see
Slim
him in the first movie, and then we see him in
multiple
one, two,
times.
three, four, five,
Yeah.
six.
You don't get the whole number, Mitchell.
I
Let me
know
get it. A bunch of episodes because Barbados Slim is
six episodes in one movie.
such a great rival for Hermes throughout the series, and he's just such a fun character because all he does is make like sex euphemisms and all this kind of stuff. That's all he's good for. But he's just so funny. And I think in this series or this portion of the series, he's played by is it John DiMaggio?
Yeah, seasons
which I
1 to
didn't know. I thought
7.
it was I thought it was Phil Lamar. Yeah.
Phil Lamar's great, but he can't be sexy like John
Well, because
DiMaggio.
he's Hermes, right? So I always thought it
Yeah,
was him talking to himself, but it's actually
that
John
would be pretty
DiMaggio in
funny,
this.
yeah.
Yeah. But
He was
later,
replaced in, season
yeah,
8, the newer stuff, which is all
yeah.
sensitive, by Kevin Michael
Kevin Michael
Richardson,
Richardson
who is a
does a
great
very
voice
good job.
actor.
He does a
Great
very
voice
good job
actor.
of it. He actually
Yeah,
sounds like Barbados Slim. He actually
yeah,
sounds like
yeah,
it. Here's
yeah.
my own little rant. This is like when we talked characters, right? With the guy who replaced Billy West for Leo Wong did nothing to actually sound like Leo
No,
Wong.
nothing.
Kevin Michael
It's
Richardson
yeah.
sounds like Barbados Slim to the extent you're like, oh, okay, I see what he's trying to do. That's awesome. Like he didn't
No.
put on like a new accent or something for it, right?
Well, I'm going to take a wild guess here, and I'm guessing that Kevin Michael Richardson and John DiMaggio worked on lots of projects together. They
Oh,
probably have known each other for
for years,
years and years and
yeah.
years. And another side fact: Kevin Michael Richardson, he voiced Captain Gantu in Lilo and Stitch, who's not in the live action movie, not even in there.
I know.
End
I
of
know.
rant. But I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they've known each other for many years. They probably even started together. They're probably close to the same age. So
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. So Barbados Slim, wonderful to see him in there, and he just keeps on mocking Hermes, right, with his great his great lines. And yeah, we get this whole thing that they have a very long standing rivalry since like the early days of it, and they've always been competitors of Limbo. Okay, so he and Barbados Slim race, right? The gun goes off, and they go for their race.
Well,
Uh,
first off, hold on. You gotta say, because in a race they get ready,
oh
and
yeah,
they said
it
get
gets set,
rubbery, so they
and this is get rubbery, and they start like
get
shaking
rubbery,
it up or whatever. Yeah, yeah,
stretching
yeah.
and then go, and
Yes,
it's like hurdles, but
but
instead
it's
of jumping over,
reversed.
you
Yes,
limbo underwards, which
that's
is just
clever.
the weirdest
That is
thing.
super clever. Whoever came up with like how to do this is actually a very clever little joke for everything, right? Because you think they're going to jump them, but they go under them. Yeah, as a
Yeah,
limboer
it's
would.
funny. It
Yeah.
is so funny.
So yes, they're running through this very much like hurdles, except they go under them, and they have to do it limbo wise. So every single one of those hurdle things is starting to become lower and lower. And wouldn't you know it, Barbados Slim is in the lead. Hermes is kind of behind him, but he's catching up. He's
The
catching up.
narrator, the
The
narrator of
narrator's
the
so
race is
funny. Yeah.
hilarious. Oh
Billy
yeah,
West. Yep. Very
yeah.
funny. He's like, yeah,
Barbados Slim.
Barbados,
God, I love him. I
love
hope
him.
he
He's my
wins.
favorite. Oh, here comes Hermes. I say, go to hell, Barbados Slim.
Yeah.
There's Barbados Slim, my hero.
Yeah. Then Hermes he goes under. He's like
Yes.
he's gonna win, but then his suit
Little
breaks and his
yep.
belly.
The belly pops out of his after his suit rips. His belly pops up, hits the thing, and Hermes collapses, both disappointed and exhausted. And Barbados Slim takes the
My
gold.
hero. Yep.
Yeah, my hero.
I,
And wouldn't you know it?
I think
Yeah.
that would probably be one of my favorite jokes in this.
It's a great joke. It is a great
Yeah.
joke. I also
Because I think I've done that too, where I'm like, oh yeah, go this team, and then that team starts losing. I'm like, yeah, the other team is much better now that I think about it, and then I go back and forth.
you
Yeah, 'cause, like,
bandwagoner. See, this is why I
yeah.
can't get into sports because people like you, no one's
Well,
loyal enough.
I will say this: I do that when I have no stakes in the matter, kind of thing. Like
Oh,
if it's
that's even worse.
like a soccer team, for instance. Like I'm not big on watching soccer, but I watch a soccer team, I'll cheer for the blue jersey, and then like, oh, I like the white jersey better now. Oh wait, no, they're suck now. I'll go back to blue
You're
jersey.
the
But
worst.
if it's something I'm more familiar with, I will stick to my guns, kind of thing,
Sure,
right?
sure. I also do like after Hermes collapses, and then La Barbara, as a nice wife or whatever, comes in. She's like, "Oh, it's okay, Hermes, it's okay," and we actually get confirmation. So she actually used to be married to Barbados Slim. And as everybody who would know who watched the show in the future, she and Barbados Slim kind of have this on again, off again affair, which
Oh,
is still kind of talked about over and over again. And to
is
the
that not
point,
more in the?
it's become a little too much. But yeah.
Is that not more in the recent like new series?
So,
Not the Comedy Central. From
well,
what I
obviously not
remember.
the Comedy Central. Oh no, sorry. In the Comedy Central, we do have. Well, okay. So the films, she kind of goes back and marries him because of his head
Boy
thing,
Needs a
right?
Daddy.
That's the
Yeah.
first one. In the Comedy Central run, the episodes that we do have him pop in, I think he
It's
shows
the
up.
Futurama Holiday Spectre one, which doesn't really count, but it
No. I
does.
think there was like an episode where he just appears, but I think it's like when they're all called. There is an episode where they're all called for the vending machine, right? When the professor gets the vending machine or whatever, and he says like, "Oh, all Planet Express crew, come to me," and everything, and he like
All
blows
right.
that horn. And as Hermes like, "Oh, I gotta go," and then as he's leaving, Barbados Slim pops his head out of like the bedroom or something. So
Yeah, I
inferring
I
that they
really
were
don't.
they were together. But
I,
any
I
case,
don't like how they're writing him, like the whole, especially in the most recent season and stuff, where like it's confirmed, like yeah, she's cheated on
oh,
Hermes with
multiple
him multiple
times.
times.
Yeah, yeah. He
I,
has a
I, I
key to
don't I don't like
replace
that.
and
That's
all that
not
stuff.
humorous in my mind.
Yeah.
Even though they were trying to make it funny, it didn't. It never even came close to landing.
It is what it is. I think the joke of it was just like they're both super attractive people, and she's still with Hermes, despite that she could have been with Barbados Slim, right? But it turns out she was married to him, but she left him for Hermes, and I think it's because of Hermes, like his heart, his brain, all these kinds of things. She likes the
This big fat head or
bureaucratic,
whatever. I think.
yeah, potato
Yeah.
headed guy, right? She likes Hermes. She loves Hermes. So that's kind of nice. But in any case, she comforts him and all this kind of stuff, and that's basically the end of Hermes. Like we don't see Hermes for the rest of the episode, basically, at least not in this regard. So later we have Bender still sad that he can't win a medal, right? Because I just watched Hermes fail, so he's like, oh, at least I'm not the only one for this, right? However, as they're watching, it then switches over to the fembot event, and you can see that there's a lot of the fembots, they're doing like the twisting of certain things, the smaller things. And Bender gets a little idea. He says, maybe one could pretend to be a fembot and maybe get some medals. And he comes up with a scheme. And Bender goes down and he pretends to be somebody named Coilette, right? Because Coilette's
Lovely
definitely a
name.
chick name.
I do like that name because it's like
That's a very
coils.
coils.
That's
Yeah, it's
like
a very
robotic
clever name.
coils.
Yep. So Bender is able to compete against the other female robots, right? The other fembots. And as
And
he does,
easily wins.
he dominates. He dominates every single activity. Everything from bending a javelin thing and throwing it like a boomerang.
I
Everything
don't
from
get that one because he runs. I understand it might be part of the joke, but like
the
he runs like
joke.
he's gonna throw it, and then he stops, bends, and then
Bends
throws it
and chucks it. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
like a boomerang.
Like a boomerang. And I love the it's kind of like a diving thing, and he like jumps up and it's like one of those unbendable girders, and you just bend it all the way down as if it's like a perfect bend all the way to the sand. So I thought that was pretty good. But in any case, all the activities we see, Bender is, or Coilette, I should say, is dominating everything. Okay. Now, as he's about to win, I think like 5 gold medals, the robots are then called for an engine oil sex check. Okay. Which
Check.
which terrifies Bender because then they're going to figure out that he himself is not a fembot, he is a regular man bot. Okay. So with the crew, he begs the professor to turn him into a woman. Okay.
No. Make me a woman. Oh no, I think we
Make a
should just
woman
stay
out of me.
friends. Sorry, that was it. Yes,
Yeah,
sorry.
make a woman out of me. Oh, I think we should still be friends or just be friends. Yes. Nice little fun
It's a
joke
very
there.
old timey phrase, though.
Yes. And it makes sense for the professor. But in any case, professor denies him right at first, saying like this would go against all these things. This is a very dangerous procedure. You could have a lot of issues with all this stuff. And Amy and Leela are obviously very much against this, right? They don't want anything to do with Bender being, a woman. However, the professor says, you know what, maybe I will do it because I'm doing it for the people of Robonia, as if this is like an actual thing. I think he just wanted to, do science stuff because the professor is senile. So Bender
Yep.
and the professor go through with the surgery, and he changes his shape, right, by hitting him with like a little hammer thing or a mallet or whatever. He drains his. I do think this is clever. Testosterone. Okay, and he replaces it with female lubricant oil or lube oil or whatever they call it. Okay,
Ester oil,
ester oil,
estrogen
whatever it is. Yeah,
or something like
testosterone
that.
oil and ester lubricant or whatever the case was. So he replaces it with the female engine oil. However this works. Robots are very confusing. Now Bender is a fembot, right? And
Femzoil. Sorry,
femzoil. Okay,
Femzoil. Yeah.
so Bender, now truly Coilette, and I'm going to refer to her as Coilette at this point. Okay, and she gets to keep her medals as she does her test and all that kind of stuff. She passes, obviously, because she's now a woman. So back at the Planet Express, Coilette acts more feminine than Bender ever did, right? It makes like a coaster and says certain things, acts certain ways, all that fun stuff. And the professor states that it could be irreversible if she stays as a woman for too long. Okay. Now, she does want to get changed back, but wouldn't you know it, she gets a call. And this call comes from, I guess, some studio or whatever saying that they'd like to do segment with her, okay, on like a talk show. What's this guy? HumorBot 5.0, which
So
I
there's
don't.
been,
Yeah,
does that mean that there's been about 10? So like
this could be
zero point
multiple different
1,
humor
oh
bots.
02,
Yeah,
03, and so
exactly.
on and so
Yeah,
forth?
something like this. Yeah, I don't know exactly if we've seen HumorBot 5.0 before or after. I think
I
we've seen him
think we
again,
have.
but yeah, I think we have. I
Eh,
think we have as well, but I can't remember if we've seen him like since this episode. If this is like the introductory episode to it, but whatever the case, maybe
No,
just on the commercial or something.
he's actually, he was in one of the first. No, that was a deleted scene. He was in the Raging Bender though. I think that's when someone
Mhm.
was on. He's just a talk show host, so
He's a talk show
they've
host. That's
used him
true. Yeah, we
over and
actually
over and
just
over
get the
again.
name of HumorBot 5.0,
Yeah.
right? So she's invited onto this, and she's like, "Okay, I'm not going to change until after I do this little talk show thing because Bender or Coilette likes to be in the center of attention and do
Yeah.
whatever she wants to do." Right? I do love this. I don't know why, but she's like, "Come on, Fry, help me pick out a pantsuit," and Fry's like, "Oh."
He's just.
And he's like
Have you
looking
never
back at them
been?
like, "Oh, come on, help me." She
You've
like
never been
skips
asked out
away.
by a girl like, let's go shopping. I want to look good. I want to look good for
But
this
that's what's
event.
so funny, right? Is that it's Bender, but like Bender and Fry would hang out, but he's like, I don't want to hang out with this person. So I think that's pretty awesome. So next day at the HumorBot 5.0 talk show thing, it turns out he's also talking with Calculon. Calculon's also a guest. And they have like a little TV show segment of a new episode of all my circuits, which makes no sense despite the fact that there's no setup needed or anything. I do think that's pretty funny.
I do like him. So Calculon, do you want to set up this clip?
No, I think it's pretty
No.
self-explanatory.
Yeah, yeah,
What is it? It's
yeah.
like in the backyard of some weird house or whatever, like a normal
Just
neighborhood
him
house.
in the
Ducks
rain,
on the middle.
camera
There's
from
no
above.
rain. There's no rain because he's
No.
just yelling, and there's a guy with an eye patch, and he's grilling burgers, like he's barbecuing, and that's all it is, right?
The
So,
script actually said for me to say yes, but I decided not to, or whatever he said there.
and he's like, anecdote accepted, come back not found, or whatever it is. So he then says, here's my next guest, and we have Coilette, winner of 5 gold medals and all the way from Rabonia, right? So she comes out, she starts acting all, I'll say slutty for the sake of argument, right? And doing all these kinds of things.
Shake
And
it, yeah, shake it,
yeah,
yeah.
shake your money maker. And mind you, she was kind of doing this when she first won her 5 gold medals at the Olympics as well. So well, the Coilette is very much still Bender inside. She likes to be this kind of thing.
I
Yeah,
forgot to ask us, why does he have hair? No other robot has hair besides the hair robot, which is made to make the hair, so that way it could be replaced the hair that people lost.
just to make it that much more different than Bender, or to maybe hide where the antenna was supposed to be beforehand because they had to cut it off. Maybe
That's a head canon thing.
Might be a
Very
head
good, very
cannon
good
thing.
point.
Yeah,
But I'm pretty sure we've seen the other robots, females that have antennas. It's just a
yeah.
joke, I guess.
Well, it's also funny as well in the episode in the Comedy Central run in Newtopia when they all switch genders.
Yeah, we see Coilette again.
Coilette, well, that's Bender's female form is Coilette, and he gets the hair back. So I don't know. It's kind of a funny way like that. That's true. Yeah. Why does he have hair and all the other fembots don't really? Mind you, it is kind of mechanical. You can kind of see it's like shiny, right? It's not like it changes shape or anything. So, any case, this attitude, however, of Coilette being all free, we'll say free spirited, catches the attention of Calculon, and he starts to get kind of cozy with her, right? Likes to flirt with her. And right on HumorBot 5.0's show, he asks her out for dinner, right? So she accepts. And back at Planet Express later that evening, she's getting ready for her date. And, everybody's kind of saying, like, I can't believe you're doing this. This is kind of crazy. And she says, don't worry. I'm just going to do this because I want to have dinner with a celebrity because, I'm not forcing them to do it against their will. I get to actually have dinner with Calculon. Like, Bender's a big fan of Calculon, so it makes sense that he would want to have dinner with him, despite the fact that Calculon has like other intentions, right? Which Fry kind of anticipates, but Coilette just says, "Oh, don't worry. I'm just going to tell him to put a ring on it, and that'll back him up." So Leela and Amy do not like this, right? They do not like that Bender is taking advantage, or whatever, Coilette or whatever is taking advantage of being a woman and taking advantage of all this stuff because she knows how men think and what men want and all this kind of stuff. So it's easier for her to manipulate them, right? And Leela and Amy are like, this is ridiculous. Like, you're so trampy. You give us a bad name. And they mock her. And then, in which case, everybody kind of starts mocking her and says, like, wait, are you going crazy, Bender? Like, this, like, you thought you want to be back as a man, but you still want to be a woman. What do you want? She freaks out and says, I'm done with all of you. I want to just have a nice dinner. I don't want to be judged. And she leaves. To which then the professor then says, like, okay, these mood swings are starting to become worse and worse. Sooner or later, Coilette is going to stay Coilette and not become Bender again. Okay. So,
Mm-hmm.
At the date, okay, obviously, where they always go, where everybody always goes for dates in this
It's
show,
like
we go
one of
back
two
to
places.
one of two places, the other one being like someone
Another
in someone's
Elzar
house.
thing.
Yeah, exactly. We're back at Elzar's. And Elzar actually does make a cameo appearance in here. So I have to say, John DiMaggio does a lot of good acting in this episode. But he comes
Oh
back.
yeah.
Yep. And, does his little catchphrase or whatever. And Calculon and Coilette are, enjoying each other's company and all this kind of stuff. And Calculon becomes quite forward with her, says, like, I'd like to spend more quality time with you. Kind of freaks, Coilette out.
Quality time with you.
And I love his little design of like his eyes go like all creepy. Like he's so weird. And she says, no way, I'm not that kind of girl, until Calculon mentions, like, well, did I mention that I'm like rich and I have like a ton of like fun things to do?
And that works.
And that
That
changes
works.
everything. Yep.
That shouldn't work, but it does.
Yep. So we get a fun little montage of Calculon and Coilette doing a bunch of couples things. They go to his yacht, they have dinner, they go dancing, all this stuff. They're in a magazine together as like a couple. And Coilette basically becomes a trophy girlfriend to Calculon, right? And he keeps on sending her gifts, like an open
They
cash
even made the
check.
cover of Famous Actor and Athlete Couples
Yep.
Illustrated.
Yeah, that's what I said. They're on magazine covers and everything. Yep, they're all like, it's all official, right, in the tabloids and everything, right? And
Official, yeah,
so to speak, right? But of course, Bender's still in there. So Coilette is like, no, this is all just a scam. Sooner or later, Calculon's going to get bored. He's going to get some other younger girl or whatever. And then I'm going to turn back into a man and basically sell off all this crap. And then I'm going to get all this money. However, wouldn't you know it, Calculon bursts through the wall, right, with his brother
Kool-Aid Man style.
Kool-Aid, yeah. Or what is that robot? The one that just goes beep, 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 right? Like his evil
Boxy?
twin or his evil Boxy. Thank you. His evil brother and all.
Pretty sure that's it. Yeah,
Boxy. And he also
Boxy
has
robot. Yeah, that's his
the
name.
gun and everything or whatever. So he bursts through and he says, Coilette, listen, I love you. Like, I want to be with you my rest of my life. And he basically proposes to her. He has Boxy open up. He has like this giant, diamond ring. And Coilette goes, yes, I'll do it, to everybody's shock, right? However, wouldn't you know it, later, Calculon has left all this stuff, and they're all like, Fry's doing a nice little speech about like, well, I'm happy for you. Congratulations. She says it's a scam. She's now going to marry Calculon, divorce him, and take half of his money, apparently.
Great. What's for dinner?
Yeah. Fry's like, okay, well, no, that sounds like a Bender scheme. That sounds good to me. On a balloon date, right, a little bit afterwards, right, they've got engaged. Calculon and Coilette are enjoying like the air and everything, and he gives her like a little remote control. Says it's the key to his heart, the remote control to his heart, right? Nice little metaphor. And he says, for you, Coilette, I will give up show business. Now, if anybody knows Calculon at this point in the show, right? Even in the future seasons, we see this a lot more as well. But in the show, at this point, Calculon is like, all he cares about is acting. All he's ever cared about is acting. This is his life. Yeah. He thinks he's the greatest of all time. It's like why he's done all my circuits for like 70 years. Like this is his thing. He's going to give up acting to be with Coilette, and he would do that willingly. And Coilette figures out like, holy crap, Calculon actually does love me, and she feels immense guilt about wanting to scam him. So afterwards, she's telling this to the group. And everybody's freaking out, and of course, or she's freaking out, and everybody's like, well, geez, what are you going to do? Like, this can't work. Leela offers her help, but makes Coilette promise that if she helps him or helps her, then she has to get out of her gender and stay out of it. So they make the deal.
Great, great retort.
Yep. And the main thing that Leela says is like, listen, the plan is going to be that since Calculon is an actor, he's going to get hurt anyway, but we have to make it soap opera like pain. Okay. Which means if
Ugh.
anybody's ever watched a soap opera, it's just a bunch of twists and turns that really go nowhere throughout the whole show. And every single episode is left on some kind of cliffhanger. Okay.
So
Mhm.
all my children, which has been a soap opera or whatever you want to call it, it's been going for like 50 years, right?
Young and the
And
Restless, Coronation Street, yeah,
yeah,
all that
yeah,
stuff. Yeah, the soap opera. Well, this is what All My Circuits is, right? It's
yeah,
basically just a
exactly. Yeah,
play
yeah.
on that show, All in the
All
Family,
my circuits, all my children. Yeah,
right,
yeah.
All My
Well,
Children rather,
I
and
just
yeah,
find that hilarious how that show's been going on for like 50 years. It's insane when you ever
people
think about
people
it.
just watch it. Yeah,
Well,
it's
because
one of those
when you
shows.
think of old shows and stuff like that, you think like, oh, Simpsons has been on for 30 years, which is almost
That's
35.
crazy that
That's still pretty
it's
good
still
because
like
it's a
that.
cartoon
Yeah,
as well, right? There's not
yeah,
many that have been around
the
for that
same
long.
actors, like
Doctor Who, although that might be going
kind
away
of,
for a little bit again. Who
but it
knows?
also ended for like 10 years as well. Like
Yeah,
it
exactly.
was
But like
back
it's
on.
still been around for a long time.
Yeah,
The
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Flintstones might be coming back, kind of thing, from what
yeah.
I heard.
There's
So
there's
just
something
it's
about a
very
lot of
interesting.
shows that keep them being brought back, whether or not they should be brought back. I mean, Futurama's one too. At this point,
Which
Futurama's
probably
been
shouldn't
around
have been.
25 years. It probably shouldn't be, but it
Yeah,
keeps on coming back for whatever reason, right? But
I
you're right.
think it's what been canceled 3 times and been brought back four
There's
times.
something about there's something about soap operas that make people like love the drama, and some people like get really into it. Some people are like, this is utter crap. This is utter garbage TV. But it's
Love
also
it or hate it. Yeah.
easy to produce, easy to cast, and overacting is kind of the charm of the show. Like it's kind of one of those things, and you get an easy kind of paycheck with it, right? So, any
Oh
case,
yeah, yeah. I would love to be on one. I'm not gonna say no. Like I mean, I can't act, but I think I'd fit right in.
you absolutely would. So, just like Calculon, right? So he's a soap opera actor. He can take soap opera pain. This is the plan. We're just going to have a bunch of things happen during this wedding, and he's going to just take it as if something crazy is happening. So at said wedding, many shenanigans start happening. We have them, Corlett walks down the aisle. They meet at the front. They have the preacher bot, all the fun stuff. Everything's set up. We have the Coilette suddenly suffer from some kind of like
Jungle
infectious
fever or something like
jungle
that. Yeah.
African fever disease thing that
I do
apparently
love this.
Calculon's character
Yeah,
had suffered in the past.
which he used to get out of like a
Contract
contract
thing, or he
dispute.
wanted more money. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
with
So he's
more
like,
money.
oh, gasp, what a shock. And then Zoidberg runs in, as the doctor. He says, I
Is
came
there a
as
doctor? I came as soon as I could.
yeah.
It
It's like,
was
oh my God, it's fatal.
perfect.
She's going to die. And then he says,
He's eating the cake.
no. It's like, but how could this happen? When did you ever go to Africa? And Layla pretends to be somebody who was like a criminal who was stealing diamonds, and Coilette foiled her and all this kind of stuff. And she's like, oh my God, what happened? And Calculon says his no. And then she's like, oh, the no brought me back. I feel much better. And then Fry becomes a guy named, what is it? Like
Jungle Joe,
Fry Congo,
Con-
Congo Jack.
Congo Joe,
Congo
Congo
Jack.
Jack. Sorry, yes.
He drives up in like a motor, or no, yeah, he drives up or whatever, throws a javelin, an actual javelin at her, and quote unquote, fatally wounds her. She kind of just sticks it between her arm and her body. She's like, oh, I'm actually dying this time. However, the main thing for this is that she tells Calculon, I want you to know I love you and I always will love you. I want you to remember that for when I die so that you don't feel bad about me breaking your heart. And he says, of course, and I'm going to make a movie based on our situation and all this kind of stuff. And Coilette, quote unquote, dies. Okay. And of course, Calculon does his no and everything. Okay.
No!
So this actually happens, and Calculon does indeed get a film based on this whole thing, and even has. I love this little joke. It was like the preacher bot right at the very beginning of like when their wedding started. He's like, "If there's any casting directors who need a preacher, look at me." And then he's actually in the movie and he's waving. So I thought that's pretty funny. Any
It is
case,
funny.
they do the Calculon. What is it? Coilette, a Calculon story or something,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
whatever it was, because he's a
Yeah.
giant ego. So later at the Planet Express, they're all watching the Calculon or Coilette, a Calculon story, right? And the professor says to shut off the craporama. I thought that was pretty good. And
I
in
did
case
like that. Yeah.
they finish it, he finishes up, and Coilette is still kind of Coilette, but she looks a lot more like Bender, right? Her her eyes are still the same and all this stuff. Her hair is gone. And the professor says, okay, we just need to finish up a couple of things, starts hammering on her. And, kudos to Joy.
Phrasing.
Yeah, nice. Well, it's literally using a hammer. So, in any case, kudos to John DiMaggio for doing like the voice differences between Coilette and Bender. I thought this was really good because he's like, yes, and it's like nice and soft and all this kind of stuff. And then as soon as his like antenna pops back up, it becomes I'm Bender, baby, let's go to Vegas and all this kind of stuff. So Bender returns, right? Coilette is gone. Bender returns, and he's all like, jerk and
He's
not
Bender.
sensitive. He's Bender again, right? Fry's happy. All the guys are happy and all this stuff. And Leela and Amy are a little disappointed that he couldn't be more sensitive, but here we are. Any case, movie finishes and Calculon says a tearful goodbye to the Coilette in the movie. And Bender kind of gets a tear saying like, oh, goodbye, Calculon. And when he's called out on it, he basically says like, whatever, you guys don't dress trampy enough, and walks out. And he's like, still got it. And yeah, this is where we finish with Bend Her. So yeah, what are your thoughts on Bend Her as in general? What do you think, Mitchell?
It's an okay episode. I much prefer the beginning part, like with the Olympics and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I also do
wish it was more Olympic,
kind of
more Olympic stuff. But
it was just kind of more funny to me than the rest of this.
Oh really? I thought there was a lot of funny jokes in this episode.
Oh, don't get yeah. There's difference between like one-liners and stuff like that. I just much prefer the Olympic part because it was just funny to me, and then the wedding was also pretty good too because they had to kind of resolve the episode, and of course Bender couldn't stay Coilette, right? So
well, it kind of works out in their favor, doesn't it? Because like in those soap opera stories, they are kind of rushed at the end too. Like suddenly, oh, it was a twin. Oh no! Suddenly, like the guy walks in, he's like, "I thought you were dead." Like it's just like that, right? So it is kind of rushed that way. So yeah, it kind of fits for the episode. I agree though.
I love.
But there are a lot of funny jokes. I do like Calculon and Coilette's little relationship. I think it is pretty funny.
I don't know where my favorite joke is, but I do love that when Bender's dying and Calculon's going no and ow. Right. I've done that to myself in real life too, more as a joke than like actually like acting or anything like that or believing it. But just like
sure,
I do love that.
You do pull a lot of things from Calculon.
Oh, I love Calculon because he's hilarious. Because like the thing is,
he's over the top,
like a combination of so many people. Like he's Star Trek guy, William Shatner. He's very William Shatner, and I'm drawing blanks on other ones, but like just he's very soap opera overacting.
He's over the top soap opera thing, all that fun stuff. Yeah, absolutely. No, he's all over the place.
Despite being like 700 years old.
Exactly. and a werecar, right? Or I guess a former werecar. They broke the curse. I hear you. I agree that more of the Olympics should have been maybe the focus of it. Maybe we could have seen more of Hermes and that kind of like, part of the story kind of get brought up because like Hermes is literally left out. As soon as that whole thing is done, that's like the episode. I wonder.
Yeah, we don't see him at all, do we?
Well, there's one. I think he says like
he's playing the piano.
He plays the organ or the piano at the wedding, but then like sometime in the middle when they're all judging Coilette before she goes out on her date with Calculon, he says like, "Man, I thought you wanted to be a woman," or I thought you wanted to be a man," or something, like all this kind of stuff. He has like one or two lines, but yeah,
he kind of just gets shoved to the side. Yeah,
he does. I wonder if there was an idea for an episode specifically with Hermes being like returned from limbo, and they're just like, this isn't there isn't enough here. Like there isn't enough here. Like we introduced Barbados Slim. We kind of had this whole thing, and it's like we only have 10 minutes worth of material. We need like more than this. So they kind of just pushed what could Bender do?
The Olympics, including the Bender stuff, is only maybe about 6.5 minutes.
It's not very long. So I feel like they could have cut out more or extended a little bit, but it's not much more they could have done. So yeah.
As these things go, and I'm not really much. I was never really a part of like the writing or stuff like that, but like I've seen like how they kind of do storyboards and stuff like that. They will scrap like good chunks of stuff because it doesn't quite fit and stuff. And generally what they do, and I've only seen this from like behind the scenes stuff on like DVDs, they'll have like post-it notes with like drawings and stuff and go, okay, well here here's Shrek doing this and doing this. Oh, that doesn't quite make sense. What's Donkey doing here? Oh, right. Oh, crap. Yeah,
Yeah, we
Donkey
have to
kind of
we
thing.
have to have somebody
Put
like
that in.
watching and see what they're doing. So like, oh yeah, it
Yeah.
makes sense canonically within the show.
Yeah. And
Yeah, there's a
mind you,
whole
there's a big difference though between movies and TV shows because
absolutely. Well, with cartoons
quality.
especially, with animation especially, right? They have to plan these things out. So yeah, it makes sense. But yeah, let's get into it. So you say you don't really have a favorite joke. Do you have a favorite scene, an MVP?
Oh, I love the little lines and stuff like I think I like the NOOOO
Mhm.
kind of thing. I also do love when Calculon proposes to Bender. He's like, yes, and let us head towards the stars, and he takes Boxy and just
Boxy out of
throws
the
him
balloon.
over.
Yeah. I was actually going to mention that as well. I think that's one of my favorites. Like,
I do like that.
let's go to the sky so the gods themselves will envy us or something. And then he picks up Boxy, and you just hear this beep 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 as
Yeah,
it falls.
it's
That's
pretty
pretty good.
funny.
Yeah, I agree. That one's one of my favorites. I also
I
I really like when Farnsworth says like, "Oh man, Bender's becoming more and more like emotional and unstable, just like every woman, right? Especially you, Leela." And then Leela like slaps him, and she's like, "You're right, Professor. I miss him too, or I'm worried about him too." Like she just
what was the
admits it,
other
but still
one?
slaps him. So I thought that was pretty good.
Oh, I just had it. Oh yeah, yes. And
Oh
I
yeah,
was just like, Bender, this is me as your friend Fry kind of thing. I wonder what to do. What is it? It's all a scam. Great. What's
great
for dinner?
for dinner,
It's
right?
just the
Yep,
complete shift
yep.
kind of thing. So
But Fry's like, I'm so used to Bender at this point, it doesn't even matter to me. It doesn't even phase me anymore. I like actually that scene where like she's getting ready for her date. Like, there's a lot of really good lines in there. Like
Zoidie
Bender,
poo.
well, that's the wedding thing. But then
Oh, right,
she's like
sorry.
getting changed. He's like, oh, is it too trampy to be naked on a first date? And they're like,
Yeah,
yes. And she's like, oh, good.
perfect.
And then she's like, or Amy says like, and you're wearing way too much lipstick or something. Or Leela says that, and she's like, no, I need more lipstick. Guys really love
Men,
the
yeah,
lipstick. And then
and you
later,
glob it on.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then later, because they made a joke, she made a joke about Amy and Leela not being married, and then later we have like Calculon literally proposed to her after like a week of dating, and then Amy's like, maybe she was right about the lipstick. Like, I thought that was pretty funny. There's a lot of really good
Is she
jokes.
dating Kiff at this point?
She is, but they're not married, obviously, not at this
Yeah, right.
point. I mean, they're
Not for another like 4 episodes, which would
oh,
be the movie.
what is the yeah exactly? What was what is that called again? The oh,
Smizmar?
Smizmar. Thank you. The Smizmar. Yeah, they're just Smizmars or something. And then they actually have a name for their actual wedding thing too, I think. But yeah.
Oh, geez, I'd have to look that up right
Yeah, it's
now.
okay. When the movie comes up, because that's the second movie, I think. When that comes up, then we can see it. But
Oh,
any case,
love that.
who's your
Fonru.
Fong Roo? Right. Okay. And that actually might be the one that does not sleep with the commanding officer, not the Smizmar. So, any
Yeah.
case, what about your MVP?
Uh I don't know. Bender's in a lot in this, but let me see. I think I'm gonna put the professor actually because he has some great lines, especially at the Olympics kind of thing. Because like
Yeah.
he goes around like saying like who we should cheer for. He's like Sweden, no kind of thing, right?
All this
And
cultural multiculturalism is making me angry. Yeah.
yeah, it's boiling me angry.
Yeah.
I do like that, and
Mm,
so yeah, I'm gonna go with the professor because this
sure.
episode would not have happened without his craziness.
Yes, and with him being able to do what he did for Bender, right? I'm gonna go Bender, but I'm gonna say Coilette, right? Throughout the whole time that Coilette is there, I think she's really funny, and I think there's a lot of really good jokes that John DiMaggio really takes this one for me. I think he's
He did
pretty
do a
funny
good
and
job, yeah.
very very good with Coilette.
He only had like 4 voices though. I mean, like both of them, like 2 of them count as Bender, but yeah, he was
Yeah,
Bender, Coilette, and then Barbados Slim,
Barbados Slim
and then
and
Elzar.
Elzar,
Yeah.
and Barbados Slim and Elzar are very very small time, right?
It's
So
actually quite funny because like
mhm,
sometimes they'll have like people be like 30, well not 30, but like an exaggerated amount of characters, right?
mhm.
Everyone really only had like themselves, except
But they're
for like
main characters, right?
Billy
Yeah.
West only had Humor Bot. Maurice LaMarche was Calculon / Hedonism Bot, and Phil
Mhm.
Lamar was Hermes and the Preacher. So
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
no,
everybody
actually,
was their main characters for the most part. But yeah, that is Bend Her. So yeah, anything more to say about this episode?
um, it's the first out of the next 3 that are very
Yeah,
Bender
the
orientated,
Bender
and
trilogy, as we call
I
it in
would,
season 5.
yeah,
Yeah,
I would say this is the lesser of the 3. I think,
is it okay?
I think so.
I'll wait. I don't know. I'm gonna wait until we watch all 3 because I'm pretty sure the other 2. We'll have to see. The next one is pretty funny, but only in certain times. And then the last one, I don't remember it being that funny, but we'll see. We'll see.
I think that one was more like clever than funny kind of thing. Like there's differences,
They
right?
do play
You
on
can find
themselves.
clever things
Yes, you're
funny,
right.
but not all funny things are clever.
That's right.
So
And we can also say like a well-made episode, as you and I have pointed out beforehand, could be a
yeah,
very well-made episode, but not very funny, right? So
yeah,
yes, we'll watch it
yeah.
again.
That's a
We'll
very
see it
good point.
again.
This one I would say is kind of subpar of both. I would say there's still some jokes, but and the
Yeah,
story's kind of
it's very much
it's convenient.
it's very much a soap opera type story.
Yeah, and
Which
as I say, I
yeah,
never really liked it, and I always kind of made fun of my
exactly.
mother for that stuff.
Exactly. But
Teach their own.
exactly. And in any case, though, we will see everybody next time then for episode 14 of season 5, the second one of the Bender trilogy at the end of season 5 here. Absolutely fabulous. Okay. So have a good one, man. Good to talk with you.
Yeah, you
And we'll
too.
see you next time.
Toodaloo.
Toodaloo.